father. This is your loving son, Louis. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard from me. I am uninjured and in good health.
If he drops it, shoot him.
If you're going to direct a film, you're going to spend years of your life, very different from acting, years of your life dedicated to the subject matter. And so it was important to me that I found something that I knew after years of working on it I would be a better person for. I would learn some things about life and history, and I'm going to spend time with this man. And I did. And in the years I knew him and was around him, I learned so much. He was in many ways a father figure and a dear friend. And it was a real honor to be in his life and to be a part of his story.
Athletically, I felt like I was already kind of there. I had that within reach. And I felt like at the time I had a good head on my shoulders to acknowledge that period and that era and the common traits between them. It's a very selfless era, a very grand period, primarily because of what communities did for each other and the support that was born out of these adversities, wartime adversities. So that was exciting. And then to learn that Louis was not only testament to all of that, but actually really championed it too, kind of added a sense of vitality to the whole thing, in that it's crucial that we tell this story so it doesn't get lost in history.
Come on, Louis.
And we start the last lap. The Finns seem to be in control. It doesn't look like Don Lash is going to bring home the medal for the USA. There seems to be some movement back in the pack. Yes, that's Zamperini overtaking Norway's Rolf Hansen.
Va tutto bene.
He seems to have some gas in reserve. He really is making up some time. Look at that Zamperini.
Creatively, and as a director, there is possibly no greater challenge than to try to bring this man's life, to condense it into a film and to illustrate for an audience all the different extraordinary chapters of his life. So I'd never shot a race, I'd never recreated the Olympics or the rafts or any of it. So it was a great deal to learn about.
I needed to know from Angie that we wasn't gonna glorify war or a real war, and we were gonna focus on the human values, which is special enough, to not have to emphasise or overly influence just for the sake of drama. It's there already. We just have a responsibility to get in there and show the right bits.
I saw in Jack there's something so honest about him. There's something so complete. He's there. There's no pretense. He is Jack, and he's how I imagined Louis at that age. But I didn't know what kind of a person he was, and I met him, and I met his family, and I saw his values, and the way he looks after his family, and so I knew that underneath all this wonderful fire that would be in the film, there was also a very soulful human being that would be there when we needed to, when he was on his knees in the jungles in Kwajalein or he was at the plank. This other level had to come through, and a depth that for a young man, it's not easy to bring that to the surface. It's often what you don't want to talk about, that you don't want to cry in front of your friends.
What I've learned from Louis anyway is something that I owe it to Louis, to Angelina, to myself, to pay attention and strive towards this great account of a great human being who did it. And like I say, he finished his life with his family around him, who had huge adoration for the man. And I think there's the finer things there,
If I can take it, I can make it.
Precisely.
I made this ridiculous, and everybody laughed at me, I made a ridiculous chart of all the different years of his life and where he was at on his journey with faith, abuse, and his physical body, and where history was at, and kind of tracking from the depression and being, getting in trouble as a little boy and all of that to then where he, and you kind of tried to follow it to see how all of those four things were always lining up. But then when we got into the construction of the film, we almost had to do it in chapters to say, okay, now we're on a raft for 47 days, and this is its own film. in a way, and we have to make sure that it has a beginning, middle, and end, and it makes sense. And how do you shoot a raft? And how do you shoot a raft where you don't make the audience bored and feel like they've been on a raft for 47 days and they want to get off? And not make them nauseous, which was another thing, because if you do certain things on a raft, you can actually make the audience sick. So there was a lot to learn.
Get out, boys. Get out! Come on!
His life is not just about survival, it's about finding his faith. It's about, yes, survival and endurance. It's also about the people he meets along the way. And it's about a little boy thinking he's not worth anything, getting to a place in his life where he feels a real sense of self and usefulness. And that's the journey. So with those themes in mind, we constructed the script, and with the help of the Coen brothers, who are so brilliant. And when they kind of say to you, your job is to make a great movie, your job is not to put a book on film. So don't try to do that. The feeling people have when they put the book down is the feeling they must have when they walk out of the theater. So they helped when I was feeling shy about what we had to trim and cut.
The story is controversial. The book is not even translated in Japan. So before I met Angie, I wasn't sure if I was going to do this. But after meeting Angie, it's all cleared. I was confident. When she said that she wanted to make a creation which can be a bridge, America and in Japan. So I thought this is really meaningful to deliver the message of Louis Zamperini, forgiveness, unbroken spirit, how strong a human being can be.
You are enemies of Japan. You will be treated accordingly. Look at me. Look me in the eye.
We kept distance from each other and said we didn't talk much, especially now. I was having a hard time to understand his English with his strong accent. But he's such a charming person, and after we finished filming, we just became friends. The war is over. So that's also important message, we can unite beyond boundary, race, skin color, or any cultural differences. We can be one.
I think there's just so much, and so much we see in the news, so much that I've seen in my years working with the UN, so much in our everyday life that we feel very disheartened by, and I saw in his story inspiration, and I saw that this is something that I wanted to put out into the world, something I personally needed. I needed to be reminded that when there is so much to feel overwhelmed by, there is the strength of the human spirit and faith and honor and will can pull us through and does pull people through, and I think he's quite a great example of that, because he wasn't born exceptional, and he's somebody who's very relatable, but who made certain choices in his life to become a better person.